My girlfriend gave me an ultimatum after my request to change our therapist due to them both ganging up on me during our sessions. Original post. My girlfriend's parents are divorced and her father passed away at the end of last year. She was his only child, so she inherited most of his assets, which was a lot because her father was a wealthy man, at least to my standards. The problem started after she took care of all the formalities regarding the inheritance. We moved in together, which made me happy because we've been together for 4 years already. At first, I thought the apartment we've moved in was the only one she inherited because we didn't spoke much about her father's fortune. But it turned out that it was just one of the 5 apartments that she inherited. I asked her why would she withhold this information from me, and she told me that she hasn't thought that this will be so important, and she decided to either sell or rent the rest of the apartments. It made me feel kind of uneasy. If we are together for so long and we've both decided to move in together, then shouldn't we both discuss and choose which apartment to move into? She apologized though, so I left it at that. But it didn't end here. I later learned that she also inherited a house that she has sold without consulting me. She argued that she wanted to give the money to her mom so she could live comfortably. But I don't believe that anyone would just sell a freaking house to give money to someone else. That's pure BS. Another thing that is making me confused is how she doesn't want to share. Her father left a car and lots of electronics, like a MacBook, and she just claimed it without even asking if I need a new laptop or something. I'm not expecting her to not use her inheritance, but we've been together for 4 years. She knows that I was thinking about buying a new laptop. It would be nice if she at least asked. I also thought that she would at least let me drive the new car, but she just started to brag about how it's her first car, etc. She's not even driving it because she prefers to take a bus or walk to most places. She also wants to split bills evenly, even though I know she has a lot more money now, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't even need my share of payment. I asked her about it and she actually got kind of mad at me this time. Told me that we are not married or anything, and I shouldn't just expect her to give her whole inheritance to me. So yeah, just usual over-emotional woman BS, because that's not what I even asked for at all. I told her that I just feel left out because she's deciding what to do with the apartments herself, and then just claiming the car and the MacBook while I'm here too. She just doesn't want to understand. She actually argued that this is exactly why she never told me about her father's wealth, as if I was some gold digger or something. How to make her realize that her selfishness may break us apart. I feel like it's harder and harder for me to commit when I know that there are people out there who would be way more caring in a relationship than her. I was thinking about suggesting a couple therapy because I love her and don't want to break up, but she has to realize that she's not alone and I should be involved in the decisions she's making. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. You are insanely selfish. WTF? She's right. You are not married. She doesn't have to share any of it with you. Stop being like this. And yeah, good on her for not telling you, since you've ended up being a grabby beggar who thinks your girlfriend's property is yours. Usual over-emotional woman BS? You've got to be kidding me. Are you really this blind? She didn't tell you because she knew you would react like this. Yes, she sold a house to give money to her mother. She has more than enough, and she wanted to share with her mother. Why would she need to consult you about decisions that don't affect you? You are so unbelievably selfish. Right? Like, how does he not see himself as being over-emotional? She's right. You're not married. It's her inheritance to do as she wishes. Even if you were married, she can consult your opinion, but it's still her inheritance to do as she wishes. I'm sorry, but you're 100% wrong in all of those. It's not emotional girl BS. You're trying to tell her what to do with her stuff. And you're resentful that you didn't know about it ahead of time. You're right. This relationship is going to break up over selfishness, but not hers. Even if they were married, often an inheritance is considered personal property and not a joint marital asset. You're the a-hole. OP, you are poorly entitled to your girlfriend's inheritance. And not only that, but you're beyond tone deaf as to how she acquired these inheritance. It's not a Potter she won. Her father died. You feeling hurt about not being consulted over the affairs of the estate shows your entitlement, but also how much finances, that aren't even yours, seems to matter more than the situation at hand. She didn't give money to a friend, but to her mom, who also lost someone they cared for, assuming so. You need to learn that you're not married, and therefore what is hers is no way yours. And even if you are married, it's still to her discretion how to use her money. If it's being the less financially stable person that's bothering you, then you need to discuss these insecurities OP, rather than assuming your partner will give in and fix them. Your entitlement is showing OP. Either fix it or you'll find yourself in a very rough and single spot. Now for the first update. Would it be wrong to report my girlfriend's mother for tax evasion? From what I understood, monetary gifts are considered income in certain cases, if the tax wasn't paid already by the one who gifted the money, for example. My girlfriend paid inheritance tax, but I don't think it's the same as income tax. I would need to consult a lawyer on this. I believe that the exact amount of the gifts is way above the taxable threshold, as it was money from my girlfriend's father's house, which was a lot. I'm not sure, but I know my mother-in-law. She believes that I'm after my girlfriend's money and inheritance. I even caught her telling my girlfriend that I'm not worthy, greedy, and a gold digger. She's projecting her own wrongdoings on me. It's important to me because my girlfriend is naive, and she believes she did the right thing. But I don't think she did. Now for the top comments. Keep in mind she won't be your girlfriend after you do. We've been together for 4 years already. She agreed to come to couples therapy because she changed completely after inheriting her father's fortune and became selfish. She will realize I'm doing the right thing. No, she won't. You're sticking your head where it doesn't belong. You reporting her mother is automatic dumping. It's not the right thing by her. You sound like one of those holier-than-thou types of people who can do no wrong. Poor girl is probably being gaslit by you, and I hope the therapist points this out to her. Nope, he is a gold digger. His relationship advice post is him angry that his girlfriend won't share the wealth with him. Everyone sucks here. Yeah, it's her money and she can do what she wants with it, but her father obviously gave it to her, and not his ex, because he wanted his daughter to be comfortable and do something for her future. This is none of your business. Unless, of course, you pay for everything. Does your girlfriend pay for half of all the bills? Does she pay half of any trips or anything you take together? Thank you. My girlfriend pays the bigger portion of our bills. We moved into one of her father's apartments, and since she has way more money than me now, we agreed not so long ago that she would pay for it. She has some problems with being selfish with her inheritance. For example, how she kept in secret how much exactly her father has left her and how she sold most of it already. Because it has nothing to do with you. She's already paying more than you, and you're living on her property. How the heck are you this brain dead? In most cases, men who earn more and have more assets have no problem with their women living comfortably. So why everyone wants me to feel bad? We've been together for 4 years. She has more money now, way more. It's only natural that she pays more. You can't bully me into believing otherwise. Edit, and that's not even what I ask about. It's about my future mother-in-law's tax evasion. You won't have a future mother-in-law at this rate, and there is no tax evasion. She already paid inheritance tax, and there is no gift tax in Poland. You're in the wrong. It's fine for her to pay more. What isn't fine is her paying more, and you trying to get her mother arrested because her daughter gave her money from a sold house. Something that would be considered a gift, hence no tax required in Poland. For Pete's sake, at this rate, I'm surprised she hasn't dumped you. You don't give a damn about her or her mother. You just care about the money. 4 years is nothing. Now for the second update. We, as in me and my girlfriend, started couples therapy a few months ago. Our relationship went through a rough patch. We were both at fault and decided to work on it instead of calling it quits. Our therapist is a very renowned one, so I had high hopes for this. The first few meetings went well, but then he started to be weirdly invested in our relationship. After those first few meetings, I think 2 or 3, I don't remember, he suggested that we both need separate therapy, with different specialists, to work on ourselves and not just focus on our relationship. I refused, as I see no reason to go into therapy myself. We went just for couples counseling anyway. But as I said, he grew overly interested, especially in my girlfriend's well-being, as he put it, and brought up individual therapy each time we went. I wanted to change our therapist, but my girlfriend was really against the idea, to the point of being mad at me for even suggesting it, which I also found weird. She eventually started her individual therapy per her suggestion. It's been a month. She's going to see her therapist every week while we go to our therapist for couples counseling at least once a month. And I just want to say, she changed. Not in a good way, actually. She started to become more nitpicky, argumentative, accusatory even. She would pick up a fight over something, then bring it up in our session, have our therapist agree with her, and then they both gang up on me. The most recent example is from a week ago, when I finally had enough. We have a mutual agreement about our living situation. We split bills unevenly, which means she pays more, since she has more money than me anyway. It was never a problem for her before, but suddenly it is? And then our therapist is like, it's unfair, burdensome, etc. So I told my girlfriend that either we change our therapist or I don't want to go. To which she replies that either we go to this therapist or we break up. I think breaking up over my request is a huge overreaction, but she refuses to even have a normal discussion with me, saying things like eye for an eye, ultimatum for an ultimatum. I'm at loss. Was my request really so unreasonable? Is there even a way to salvage this? I need some help. Maybe anyone has any idea how to approach this issue without my girlfriend going into an ultimatum mode? Edit. Since everyone is bringing up my past mistakes and previous posts, yes, I know I was wrong for this, but we were supposed to work this out in therapy. I thought we were on r/relationship advice. This sub was about, well, advice? Why is everyone choosing to ignore the issues stated in this post? Now for the advice. You were young still. Life is too short to be miserable. I'm going to be miserable if she decides to break up with me though. Not as much if you stay with her in the current situation you two are in. In time, you will get over her. Your long-term happiness is in your hands. But if she breaks up with me, I will become homeless, since I'm not working currently and I can't afford rent for now. As I said, it's way more complicated. I can move back to my parents' place, but they're not rich, so I would probably need to drop out from uni to work full-time until I save some money. My whole life will crumble, not just our relationship. Honestly, if you need couples therapy with a girlfriend, she shouldn't be your girlfriend. Move on. Plenty of fish in the sea. I don't want any other fish though. I love her, and she always took care of me. Something just changed in her after her therapy sessions, but I hope to get some idea on how to turn it around. Edit/update. Asking here was a mistake. I will have fun reporting your private messages to me for harassment. Edit/update. Well, I don't know who did this or why, but someone not only found me on Facebook, but also went through my profile. I guess to find my girlfriend and linked her to my Reddit. Yeah, not to this post, but my whole account in my previous post. Do you feel better now? Are you going to sleep better? I hope you're proud of yourself for ruining our relationship and probably making me homeless. Good thing is I don't have to go to therapy anymore, since she's not going to pay for it anymore. Wait a minute. Aren't you that guy who wanted to report his partner's mother for tax evasion just because you didn't know about her inheritance? The post is deleted, but you forgot about your comments, my dude. The edit? Wow, chef kiss. I love happy endings. Poor bastard never gained a single ounce of self-awareness. As if I was some gold digger or something. It just went whoosh right over his head. About her mother, who just gives money away. About himself, makes multiple posts complaining about how his girlfriend won't give him anything and everything he wants. Wow, the delusion, the entitlement. She's good to be rid of him. It was a fairy tale ending, I must agree. All he could talk about was women, no brain, me want money. Most people would have focused on her losing her father. She deserves so much more, and I'm so glad therapy convinced her of her self-worth. At no point in any of his communications does he mention anything he likes or loves about his girlfriend. It's always about what he wants and what he thinks he deserves. At no point does he show any love or affection towards this poor girl. Now for the last story. I, 29 male, made a mistake that ended up hurting my wife's 27 female feelings. She won't let it go. My wife and I have been married for 18 months. Courthouse wedding. Still planning to do a religious ceremony with friends and family eventually. Been together for 6 total. In 2019, we moved away from our home state and city when I had a work opportunity across the country. Then due to the pandemic, we haven't been able to travel back. Back in July, my dad wanted to see me. My uncle was having a milestone birthday and they made it a big blowout celebration. My wife and I were both invited. We planned on driving down a few days earlier and check out some of our old hunts, catch up with friends, and mostly just gorge on food from the restaurants we miss. Well, I made a mistake and told my wife the wrong date. She put in for the wrong date to get off at work. I didn't catch the mistake until it was too late to change it. Luckily, my job was able to change my time off request at the last minute and I was still able to go. My wife was angry when I went without her. It was probably the biggest fight of our relationship. There was a lot of screaming on both sides. We both said and did things we didn't mean. I still can't believe she got so angry at me for just wanting to go visit family. But whatever. We apologized to one another and moved on with our lives. Or so I thought. Last night, we were driving around an unfamiliar part of our new town. My wife said that the area reminded her of our hometown. I agreed that it did. She said she really missed our hometown. I told her that I missed it too. Then she snapped at me that I was just there. I don't get to miss it in front of her. Then she got quiet and just looked out the window crying. I was getting frustrated that she wasn't talking to me, and I snapped back that it is normal to go visit family alone. Then she went from quiet crying to outright sobbing. She slept on the couch last night. Today she's really quiet and withdrawn. She says she's working, but I am pretty sure I have heard her crying in her office. So now I am wondering what to say or do to stop being punished for a small mistake. She moved away from her home for you. She took the time off that you told her. You went on a trip that your homesick wife couldn't because you messed up, leaving an already lonely person all alone. Then you have the audacity to think that because it didn't affect you to go alone, and you got to visit your family, you think it's something to just move on from. There's a whole lot of self-centered BS on one side of this issue. It is not your wife being upset you wanted to go visit family. By the way, what did you do to make up for blowing up both your wife's vacation time and rare chance to visit home? I'm going to go out on a limb and guess nothing since it didn't affect you. Absolutely spot on. I hope he's being intentionally dense. First, own your mistake and fix it before compounding it. Second, find a way to fix it. Pay for a trip for just her to visit her family. Do something instead of being like, I said sorry, that's enough. Am I the a-hole for insinuating my sister wanted to take a selfie with my boyfriend? Plus update. Original post. I, 24 female, have family visiting from America for about a week, and my sister, 26 female, is coming with them. She called me a few days before her flight to inform me that she only wanted my fiancé, 25 male, to pick her up from the airport. She's the last of the family to arrive, but she said that she did not want me, my dad, or my mother to be at the airport. She only wanted my fiancé there. My sister and my fiancé have known each other, through me, since I started my relationship with my fiancé. While she has known him since our relationship started, she has not been very warm to him. Her behavior is often aggressive and abrasive. She often makes comments about him being too tall or too dumb. She goes so far as to call him the village idiot or dum-dum, but he had thick skin so he just moved on. Long story short, me and my fiancé were under the impression that my sister did not like him very much. So imagine my shock when she suddenly wanted alone time with him. Trying to figure out a reason, I very absent-mindedly started throwing out possible reasons to her as to why she would want my fiancé there with no one else. I said things like to find him in a crowd, and so he can carry all your things, and jokingly said to take a selfie with him and send to your boyfriend. And as soon as I said a selfie joke, she blows up. She calls me a narcissist and an a-hole, and hangs up the phone on me like it's the most distasteful jokes she's heard from my mouth. I'd also like to clarify, my sister habitually calls me a fat witch who is dating up. Fiancé says that my joke might have been too harsh, and I'm now wondering if it was an a-hole thing to say. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Your sister wants only your fiancé to pick her up? Genuinely, I don't understand either. She's into your fiancé. I don't buy all her insults about him. Sounds to me like she's using insults to hide her attraction to him from all of you. Her insults are her cover. So maybe she's hoping to try something on when he collects her at the airport? The example you gave might just have been a coincidence. She might have blown up at whatever it was you were going to say next. It's beyond weird to ask your sibling to send their significant other to collect them from the airport. Not stay home. Something is off with your sister. Tell her your fiancé is not available. Very off. So weird. Like the plot of a creepy movie. Now, I am wondering if she wanted to be alone with him so that she can claim he being inappropriate with her or something. My thought exactly. Maybe she's hoping to get the engagement broken off because she only has a boyfriend. Not the a-hole. I think you nailed it with that comment. Why else would she be so defensive? Yes, with the other comments, I get the vibe Sister Never Group has the bully them to show them you like them schoolyard face. And now for the update. Yeah, so anyone who insinuated that my sister was jealous or trying to steal my life/fiancé was basically right. Throughout most of the trip, she was acting very weirdly aggressive toward me. She would find very small things and very small details to nitpick about. She seemed like she wanted to be my big sister in all aspects of my life. At one point, she stomped into my work and attempted to yell at me. And at another, she made a big show of trying to yell at me when I invited my family to meet some of me and my fiancé's close friends. Anyway, everything essentially climaxed midway through the trip when I had invited over my fiancé's best friend for dinner. My fiancé's best friend is very close to us as a couple, and we have a lot of inside jokes. My fiancé's best friend made a joke about how he likes me fine, but my fiancé will always be his first pick, which was funny at the time. Until my sister very loudly said, "Yeah, the world doesn't revolve around you. Stop being so arrogant," referring to me. To which we all stared at her awkwardly in confusion because the outburst came out of nowhere. Once my fiancé's best friend left, I pulled my sister to the side with my family and asked her what had gotten into her. She started by yelling at me about how she thought I was a terrible person and how I was mistreating everyone in my life. Then she evolved into how she has wrapped her identity into being my big sister. And when I don't listen to her, then she feels like she can't control or change me, and she's worried I will be a terrible person. Then it evolved into how she was infuriated because I was living a wonderful life overseas and never experienced consequences for being a bratty little sister from ages 0 to 15. Then it was finally revealed that her life back home is a bit crappy. Essentially, she had gotten a couple of customer complaints and coworker complaints which were weighing on her. On top of that, her boyfriend of 11 years doesn't want to marry her and won't even get her a promise ring or compromise ring. In summary, she was unhappy with her job, unhappy with where she lived, unhappy with her lack of friends, and unhappy with the fact that her long-term boyfriend doesn't want to marry. So yeah, it essentially unraveled into a revelation of jealousy and unhappiness in her own life. Something of which, unfortunately, I can do nothing about. I gave her advice here and there, but her life is her own decision. She's flying home now and I'm just worried about her. A compromise ring is one of the saddest things I've ever heard. A promise ring at their ages is silly. I thought that concept was romantic when I was a teen, but looking back, I don't think it's so good then either. We shouldn't be teaching kids they need to look for marriage in years they should be building themselves. I feel bad that everything in the sister's life seems to be falling apart, but the way she's dealing with it is so pathetic. It sounds like most of sister's problems are of her own making. She seems like she might treat other people besides OP badly, hence the work warnings. Therapy might help with that if she was willing to put in the work. She could dump her boyfriend and find someone who does want to marry her. But instead of doing something about her problems, she's just trying to make other people's lives miserable too. If OP's sister is anything like mine, she will only go to therapy to confirm everyone else is the problem, then stop after a session or two because it's not happening. What did it for me is OP's sister claiming brattiness from ages 0 to 15. My sister did the exact same thing. Apparently, I cried a lot as a baby because I was already a spoiled brat, and everything thereafter, like having difficulties in school or taking a gap year to work and save money after high school, was due to my brattiness. Ah yes, the old "I'm getting complaints about my behavior at work and my relationship isn't going how I would hope, so I'll turn the dial up on being utterly awful to the people who do still care about me" trick. Totally healthy and normal. It's really sad that even after all that, OP clearly feels she should be helping her sister. None of the things described, while sad for her, even begin to be excuses for this sort of behavior. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my brother's wedding cake? Plus update. Just to be clear, I didn't actually do anything to the cake. But I'll just start from the beginning, I guess. Growing up, my brother and I would play pranks on each other. I say each other, but he would just prank me relentlessly. Any of you who are younger siblings will know that there will be that one particular moment that often comes up even as you get older that, "Hey, remember when?" story. They'll retell to cackle at something devilish they did to you as a child. Our story was about a jar of cookies. Grandpa was an amazing baker and he made me a batch of cookies for my birthday, 9th birthday I believe, which he'd seal in an airtight glass box for me. I don't know how or when, but my brother got hold of this box and proceeded to, well, fart in it, then sealed it back up. On my birthday, he handed me the cookie box and said, "Grandpa put some extra stank into this batch." I didn't know what he meant in the moment. I was just too excited to try what looked like delicious cookies. I opened the glass lid and got blasted in the face by the stench of stale ass, then immediately threw up in the jar, all over the cookies. A tale my brother has told repeatedly to his delight since. Fast forward to now, my brother's wedding day. This wasn't a thought-out plan. I hadn't been scheming over it. It was just spur of the moment. My brother had retold the story yet again at his bachelor party 3 days prior to embarrass me, and I guess the story was just fresh in my mind. Ceremony's over, all went well, and onto the reception. They're posing for photos before cutting the cake, and I don't know why it came to me, but I just leaned over to my brother as his wife was about to take a bite and said, "I put some extra stank into the cake." I thought he'd laugh. He did not. With the reflexes of a mother leaping across to rescue her newborn from something dangerous, he slapped the cake out of her hands. There were some gasps, some laughs. No one really knew what was going on, me included. He whispered in her ear. She looked me in the eyes for a good 5 to 10 seconds, then just started to cry. She runs off. Everyone is confused. Then my brother confronts me. He thought I did defecate in the cake as revenge for the cookies. I told him I didn't, and it was just a dumb joke. But he was too mad to listen. She told her bridesmaids I did a number 2 in the cake. Sure enough, soon everyone thinks I did it in the cake. I was too embarrassed to protest, so I just went home. It's been a week and I've not spoken to them, nor anyone else from the wedding barring my wife. And I keep feeling guilty even though I didn't actually do anything. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. These people are being really harsh. If he just farted in your biscuits, why did he make the leap to think you did a whole dump in the cake? He overreacted. Probably because he made fun of Opie about the same prank for years and years on end, and he knew something was coming for him. Because that's what the brother would have done, if he had been on the receiving end of that prank and the mockery all those years. Just a horrible person with zero empathy who wants to dish it but can't take it. Not the a-hole. Your brother and his new wife are really dumb if they think the baker would leave the cake mix or icing unattended for the groom's brother to take a dump in it and then serve that to guests. Most wedding cakes come assembled already, not baked on the premises. When would you have the opportunity to take a dump in a cake? And how would none of the bakers nor the venue servers not realize the cake smells like excrement? They overreacted big time and clearly think very lowly of you if they think you'd even do something like that. Your brother is an a-hole and I'm glad his wedding cake moment was disrupted. His guilt in thinking of what he is capable of is why he even thought this was a real possibility. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Not you, Opie, but him. Thank you for pointing this out. I couldn't figure out when Opie had access to the cake to even do anything to it. Edit/update. I'd have liked to have responded individually, but this received a bit more attention than expected. Thank you for all the responses, of all kinds. The only person I could really discuss this with so far was my wife, who of course will always be on my side. I couldn't tell friends in case they jumped to the same irrational outcome as my brother, so I don't really know if I was the a-hole or not. As relieved as I am that the majority here agree I wasn't in the wrong, I do still take on board the criticism from the other side. It was probably a very poorly timed moment to make that joke, but like I said, I didn't scheme away at doing this. It was just impulsive. However, I have to take ownership of my actions nonetheless. A few of you have said you'd be interested in an update. I'm unsure on the sub's rules regarding this, but I am going to try and speak with my brother tomorrow after work, so I will post something if allowed once we have spoken and have, hopefully, smoothed things out. Now for the full update. I don't know if these are allowed, but people expressed interest, so if it's against the rules, just remove it. A quick summary for anyone reading but unfamiliar with my first post. I made a poorly timed joke during my brother's wedding reception as a spin-off a practical joke he played on me. No one was amused, and I was accused of doing something disgusting. Most people here agreed he overreacted and I wasn't the a-hole, but some thought I should apologize anyway, which I took on board, so reached out to my brother after a week of total silence. I'd like to say it went well. It did not. I texted my brother to come to my house after work so we could talk. He bluntly accepted. We didn't really get to talk though, because as soon as he pulled up in his car, he started yelling at me on the driveway. Turns out, my prank messed things up more than I realized. After I left the wedding reception with my tail between my legs, they got into some kind of argument and didn't even go on their honeymoon, for which he blames me. He is still maintaining I took a dump on a cake, and the reason is something that a lot of people here realized that my naive 9-year-old self didn't. He did shat in my cookies. I obviously didn't get the specifics mid-argument, but it came out that's what he did. I didn't know how, as it was a glass jar, so you'd have seen if someone parked a turd on top. I can only assume he smeared it along the bottom as some type of paste, so people would think it was just chocolate oozing out. When I vomited in the box, he got away with blaming it on a stale fart. He thinks I figured it out and did the same in the cake as revenge. I tried defending myself here. In fact, some of your responses helped. How would I do this? Is the baker in on it with me? Did I pull off some elaborate ruse to get access to the fully formed cake to defecate in it? He wasn't having any of it though. He says he knows I did do it and he's going to get the cake forensically tested to prove it. He's even threatening legal action. Eventually, my wife had to intervene at the shouting match on our doorstep, as he was getting increasingly aggressive and she was worried he may get violent. She got rid of him and I just went back inside to try and process it all. I got in touch with his wife a few hours later, as people's responses made me realize that even though my brother may be an a-hole, her big day was definitely soiled by my actions and that wasn't fair. Thankfully, she seems a lot more forgiving than him. We spoke on the phone for a while and she knew the truth about the cookies, turd, not farts, which is why she believed him when he said I did it with a cake. But as they argued through the night, she realized that I was innocent. I didn't want to pry, but it sounded like there had been relationship problems in the lead up to the marriage anyway, and his overreaction was just a tipping point. She's moved out and is staying with her parents now, and I suppose my brother finds it easier to pin the blame for their problems on me than reflect on his own behavior. I brought up my brother's claim about testing the cake, and she actually laughed, which reassured me that he's the only one thinking about such desperate measures. In conclusion, I may have been ruled not the a-hole, but my actions have ruined a marriage. She's moving out, my brother is lawyering up, they're getting an annulment, and I may or may not receive a subpoena asking me to poo in a box. But like, who defecates in their brother's birthday present? Psychopaths do. And gleefully retells the story over and over and over again. If I was his fiancé and watched him take such delight in retelling the story, I would have been disgusted and run for the hills. This is karma. I could kind of see it being something stupid that a child would do, but then come to regret it. But to keep happily telling it and never realize that it's something to be ashamed of? What an a-hole. Yep. When I was like 5 or so, I was taking a bath with my slightly older sister. We would take turns being the one to stand straddling the tub while the other did a slide down the sloped part. She was the clown of the family and always got the laughs. So I thought I'd try to do something funny, and with great effort, I managed to pee on her as she slid down. She did not think it was funny. I was immediately ashamed. And for the life of me, to this day, I cannot figure out why I thought it would be amusing. The autism was strong in me even then, but man. Ever notice how much pranksters hate getting pranked? Almost like they've known it's bullying all along. My brother pranked me many moons ago, and I told him revenge is a dish best served cold. Anytime he visits, and I will hand him a cold beer or something cold to eat and just say here's your cold beer or cold food. He hesitates. Last visit I did it again, and he finally said, "When the heck will you be serving your revenge?" I replied with, "I have been doing it for years. Each time you hesitate before drinking or eating anything cold I hand you,